Hello and welcome back to yet another video on the Alejandro Hernandez podcast. These are going to be my official rankings of the top 10 teams after week 5. This week was incredible. Just a ton of upsets in the NFL. Patriots over Bills, Jags over Chiefs, 49ers over Rams on Thursday Night Football. It was just a ridiculous week. A ton of upsets across the NFL. So obviously that means that this power ranking is going to shake up after this week because a lot of great teams lost to subpar teams. So that's definitely going to impact where the standings are after this week. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. Coming in at number 10, I'm going to elevate the San Francisco 49ers into the top 10, and I'm going to have them at number 10. Mac Jones looked extremely impressive on Thursday Night Football, and really, I think this is a reflection of the Niners coaching staff. I think the biggest coordinator hire of this offseason was Robert Saleh back to the 49ers. That defense is playing their tail off right now for the 49ers, despite all the injuries, without Nick Bosa, and despite all the players that they lost in the offseason, Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, Charvarius Ward. It hasn't mattered for this team. They've just continued to produce, and it doesn't matter who's out there on the field for the Niners, they just continue to produce due to the system. And on the flip side, on the offensive side of the ball, Kyle Shanahan is putting on a clinic. He is utilizing Christian McCaffrey to the peak of his abilities. Mac Jones is operating the offense at an extremely high level. And let's not forget, back in the 2020 NFL draft, or I believe it was the 2021 draft, Kyle Shanahan wanted to draft Mac Jones, but the front office kind of persuaded him to draft Trey Lance because of the upside and his physical traits. But the thing about Kyle Shanahan and his quarterbacks is they don't really need to be physical quarterbacks in terms of physical beasts like a Josh Allen or a Patrick Mahomes. You've seen the quarterbacks that have had success in his system: Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, then on the 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy. Just all of those quarterbacks have had so much success in Kyle Shanahan's system because they throw with anticipation and they throw with accuracy. And that's pretty much all he asks of his quarterbacks, to throw with anticipation and to throw with accuracy. And Mac Jones is highly capable of those two things, and he is excelling in his system right now. And it doesn't matter who he's throwing to as long as he has open receivers, and those receivers are getting open due to the scheme. He has a bunch of checkdowns to Christian McCaffrey. He has a bunch of throws over the middle to even backup tight end Jake Tonjes, and then he has Kendrick Bourne. Doesn't matter who's out there on the field, they're producing because of Kyle Shanahan's system. So huge credit to the 49ers. On the offensive side of the ball, Kyle Shanahan is coaching his tail off, and he's probably a front runner right now for Coach of the Year. And on the flip side, you got Robert Saleh coaching the defense to the best of their ability. So the Niners are going to have them in the top 10. I can't have them higher than 10 right now, although they just upset the Rams, and they are 4-1, top of the division. Right now, I need to see those players back. I need to see Purdy back. I need to see Kittle, Ayuk, Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, all those guys back. Once they do get back, the rest of the schedule is a cakewalk for San Francisco. So for that reason, I'm not going to have them higher than 10 because I believe the 9 teams above them are better than them today. And coming in at number 9, I'm going to have the Indianapolis Colts, who had another impressive victory over the Las Vegas Raiders this weekend, beating them 40-6. It was an absolute beatdown. And I'm not going to have the Colts higher than 9 because I just think their competition they haven't played up to the level of competition that the rest of the teams above them have. And the Colts have played the Raiders, they've played the Titans, and then in week 1, they played the Dolphins. So those are 3 teams that we believe are the bottom of the barrel in the NFL. They did beat the Broncos, and they played the Rams very, very closely, so I will give them credit for that. But I still need to see more of Daniel Jones in big moments for me to trust this team. But other than that, I love their defense. I love how opportunistic their defense is. They're great at creating turnovers, and they have a great pass rush. And on the flip side, Jonathan Taylor looks like the best back in football again. So definitely give the Colts credit, give Shane Steichen credit like I just gave Kyle Shanahan credit. You got to give Shane Steichen some credit here for the work he's done with this roster and with his quarterback in Daniel Jones. So the Colts are 4-1. They're currently the number 1 seed in the AFC, but I still need to see them go toe-to-toe with teams like Jacksonville, with the higher teams in the AFC, such as the Chiefs, and they beat the Broncos, but I need to see them play the Chargers next. So if Daniel Jones can continue playing at a high level against those caliber of opponents, then I'm going to have to rise the Colts, but for now, I'm going to keep them at number 9. And coming in at number 8, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'm going to have them ahead of the Colts. I think the Jaguars are going to win this division. In the offseason, I preached all offseason long, Liam Cohen is going to be a front runner for Coach of the Year. And so far, he has been ridiculous right now coaching this team. On the defensive side of the ball, this is something I didn't expect. Up until the Chiefs game, the Jags were winning in spite of Trevor Lawrence because that defense was creating so many turnovers. Devin Lloyd, linebacker out of Utah, is looking like a front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. He is playing incredible football. They're creating turnovers. The addition of Travis Hunter has been has been volumes for this team. On the offensive side of the ball, he's making impacting plays, and on the defensive side of the ball, he's covering guys like Travis Kelce and Xavier Worthy. So that draft pick of Travis Hunter is going to pay off. Everyone in the media kind of overreacted to his underutilization over the first 4 weeks of the season, but that is going to crank up as the season goes on. You just needed to adjust to the NFL. People were expecting results right away, and sometimes for rookies, that's not how it works. We're seeing that with Emeka Ibuka, how he looks incredible right out the gate. Travis Hunter is going to be a late bloomer, so people just have to be patient with him. He is going to have an impact very, very soon, and that was showcased in the Chiefs game. And I believe that Chiefs game was Trevor Lawrence finally showcasing what he's truly capable of. And over the first 4 weeks of the year, we were kind of seeing Trevor Lawrence being mistake prone, and the Jags were winning in spite of Trevor Lawrence. Against the Chiefs, the Jags won because of Trevor Lawrence. That fourth quarter drive to win the game, that throw to Brian Thomas down the sideline was his best throw of the game. And then the throw on the sideline to Dyami Brown. Again, just two back-to-back excellent throws. Trevor Lawrence beat the Chiefs using his arm and his legs. This time around, he didn't have the effective run game with Travis Etienne. The Chiefs shut that down. So it was up to Trevor Lawrence to go win his team the game. And he proved that he can outduel Mahomes in a big game. So definitely, I was very encouraged from what I saw from Trevor Lawrence. Liam Cohen is finally unlocking him. And I'm sure that they're going to get Brian Thomas involved in this offense very, very soon. His catches and targets and yards are going up week to week, and they're slowly as well getting Travis Hunter involved. I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars are a very dangerous team, the AFC. They just beat the Chiefs, they beat the Niners, and they beat the Texans. So I think in terms of overall body of work, the Jaguars have had more impressive wins than the Colts. So give me the Jaguars ahead of the Colts at number 8 on this power ranking. Now coming in at number 7, I'm going to have the Green Bay Packers at 7. And they're coming off a bye week. I'm not going to panic on the Packers because they lost to the Browns and tied to the Cowboys. I think this week is a perfect bounce back spot for them playing the Bengals. And overall, this Packers team really has a cupcake schedule down the stretch of their season. Besides the teams they play in the division, I think the Packers have a very easy schedule, and they can rip off a ton of easy wins as long as they knock down these easy opponents. They weren't able to do that against Cleveland or Dallas, but I think coming off a bye week, they cleaned some things up on the defensive side of the ball. So I do expect the Packers to come out of this bye week like a way better football team and show what they showed in the first 2 weeks of the season. I think they're going to showcase that against the Bengals. So I think the Packers come out with a statement win against the Bengals this week, get right back on track. And for now, I'm only going to have them at 7 because Jordan Love I'm still a little skeptical of him in big games. He has performed well, but then the defense got exposed by Dallas in week 4. So I definitely need to see more out of Green Bay to elevate them to where I had them after week 2. I had them at the number 2 spot after week 2 to elevate them that high again. I need to see them return to that kind of form. So for now, I'm going to keep them at number 7. I expect them to have a big performance this week against the Bengals. Now, coming in at number 6, I'm going to have the Los Angeles Rams. This is my Super Bowl pick on the NFC side of things, but they just have not looked impressive ever since week 2. They blew that game to the Eagles, then they followed it up in week 4, almost losing to the Colts, and then this week, as 8.5-point favorites, they lose to the Niners. So the Rams are just finding ways to lose, really. They were up 26-7 at one point against the Eagles, and then this loss to the Niners at home was inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable. They came out flat. That defense got carved up by Mac Jones, so that was definitely not an encouraging sign. Now they have a long rest, and they play the Ravens, so this should be a very good get-back spot for them here against the 1-4 Baltimore Ravens. I expect them to win by blowout. I expected them to blow out the Niners. They did not do that. They lost outright. And I'm not concerned on the offensive side of the ball. I think Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, they're all excellent. This team overall is excellent. This is why I picked them for the Super Bowl. Stafford's playing the best football of his career. Puka Nacua is playing the best football of his career. The offensive line has looked good. I'm not worried about the offensive side of the ball. That's not what I'm worried about. The defense, the secondary, is my biggest concern for this team. I believe if they really want to make a Super Bowl run, then the Rams are going to have to make a move at the trade deadline for a corner, because that is their biggest weakness, and that is what teams are taking advantage of. Teams have had an easy time passing the ball in the Rams secondary, and the pass rush is great, but if receivers are open downfield before the pass rush can get home, then that's a recipe for disaster for that defense. So the Rams secondary is my biggest concern for this team right now. That's why I'm going to drop them down to 6. And that's what's losing them football games right now. Jalen Hurts carved them up in the second half. Daniel Jones carved them up with the Colts. And then in this week, Mac Jones carved them up in the secondary. So that's their biggest weakness. I'm going to need them to address that in order to rise them up again. And for me to believe that this team is a true Super Bowl contender, I need them to make a move in the secondary at the trade deadline. So I'm going to keep the Rams at 6 for now. Coming in at number 5, I'm going to keep the Chiefs at number 5 despite losing to the Jaguars. I think that win was more about Jacksonville being great than it was about Kansas City being bad. Kansas City did blow a 14-0 lead, but I just think that Jacksonville team really came to play. And the Chiefs' offense has looked very encouraging. People were concerned about, the production's not there. Mahomes needs more receivers. They have a ton of guys coming back. Worthy obviously already came back. Rashee is going to come back at some point, I believe in 2 weeks. So people were saying to trade for a receiver at the trade deadline. Now you look at the Chiefs' receivers. They're going to have Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, Marquise Brown. They're going to have a ton of weapons. Tyquan Thornton. And then you still have Kelsey. So this Mahomes-led offense on the Chiefs is going to be just fine. The back end of the defense is what I'm worried about. They can stop the run very well, but their pass defense has looked very concerning to start the year. Justin Herbert carved them up in week 1. And then this week, Trevor Lawrence carved them up. So definitely some cause for concern there for the Chiefs. And they need to get their defense right with Steve Spagnuolo. They cannot get a pass rush right now. And I think that's their biggest weakness. They can't get a pass rush, and then they can't cover downfield. So if Mahomes is going to be getting into shootouts, which hasn't been the winning formula for the Chiefs, they have usually been a great defensive team, and then Mahomes has taken care of the football. And then that back-breaking pick 6 is what cost them the game. So the Chiefs, I think something that's noteworthy is that last year they were, I believe, either 10-0 or 11-0 in one-score games. To start off this year, they're 0-3 in one-score games. So that is huge. And that's not very Kansas City-like. So that is some cause for concern. But overall, when it comes to just overall teams in the AFC, I think it's still the Bills and the Chiefs right now. Those are my AFC Championship prediction picks. I had the Bills beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. And up to this point, I believe it's still the Bills and the Chiefs that look like the best teams in the AFC. So I'm going to keep the Chiefs at number 5. Now, coming in at number 4, I'm going to rise the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I had faith in Baker Mayfield that he would go into Seattle and win, and he did just that. And the injuries for the Bucs have just not mattered so far. Well, obviously they have mattered, but in terms of how they're winning games, they're still winning despite these injuries. They're missing Mike Evans. They're missing Kalijah Kancey for the season. They're missing, I believe it's another receiver, Jalen McMillan. They're missing Bucky Irving. And guys just continue to step up. Emeka Egbuka looks like the offensive rookie of the year. Rashad White is one of the best backup running backs in the league, so he filled right into Bucky Irving's shoes. No problem. Baker Mayfield is playing MVP caliber football right now. If I had a vote for MVP today, my pick would be Baker Mayfield with the way he's been playing so far. I have a ton of belief in this Tampa team, and this win in Seattle is huge for the team's morale and huge for playoff standings, because had they lost this game, they're now down to 3-2, but now they're 4-1, and they're right there with Philadelphia and Detroit for the top seeds in the NFC. And this week they play San Francisco. They are favored at home. I expect them to win that game. I expect Baker Mayfield to outplay either Mac Jones or Brock Purdy right now. And this Bucs team is on a heater. I expect them to be a top seed in the NFC, and they're right on track to do so. And the fact that they keep on pulling off these wins that they're not supposed to be pulling off. They were underdogs against Houston. They were underdogs against Seattle. And they continue to pull out wins when they shouldn't. And that's credit to Baker Mayfield. He's right now the best clutch quarterback in the league. So I'm going to have the Bucs at 4. I'm really high on this team. Baker Mayfield, I have all the faith in the world that he's the man to take this team very far in the playoffs. And so far, he has justified that opinion. So give me the Bucs at number 4. Coming in at number 3, I'm going to drop the Philadelphia Eagles one spot after losing disappointingly to the Broncos. And right now, this offense is still broken with Kevin Patulio as the offensive coordinator. It has not gotten better at all. And granted, they did play one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in football in the Broncos. They have the Giants 2 out of their next 3 games. So if they don't put probably 25 plus, 30 plus on the Giants, then something's really wrong with this Eagles team. But they need to figure it out, because the way that they were winning games before Denver was unsustainable, and Denver did expose them in that second half. They gave Saquon 6 carries. Right now, the offensive coordinator just cannot call a balanced offense. It's either they don't pass enough or they pass too much. In this game, they passed too much, and they completely forgot that Saquon Barkley was on their team. Only gave him 6 carries. They still have not found a way to get A.J. Brown the ball. Devonta Smith did get involved this past week. But right now, this Eagles team is way too talented, given how poorly they're playing. So the talent is not matching the production right now for Philadelphia. And their defense can only carry them for so long. So Philadelphia needs to figure their stuff out. I'm going to drop them one spot. They're still a very dangerous team, because although they're having this many struggles on their team, they're still 4-1. They're still one of the top seeds in the NFC. So despite all their struggles, they're still 4-1. They get the Giants 2 out of their next 3 games. They're going to be just fine. But right now, they are not playing like one of the best teams in the league. So I'm going to drop the Eagles one spot to the 3 spot. Now for number 2, I'm going to have the Detroit Lions. Right now, they look like the best team in the NFC. What concerns me about Detroit right now is their injuries in the secondary. DJ Reed and Terrion Arnold both went down, which is huge. And now they go to Kansas City. They are favored at Arrowhead, which I believe is interesting. They are favored. And I think that if they get that win in Kansas City, then they are far and away the best team in football. But that's a very tough ask. And right now their offense is putting up crazy numbers once again. The Lions offense is just, it's a complete offense. It's the best offense in the league. Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, and Jameson Williams. Those were the best core of skill position players in the league by far, and they're finding ways to get them all the football. They're spreading the ball around. They look like the best offense in the league. And on the flip side, they're second in the league in sacks and third in the league in takeaways. So this Lions team is legit. They're playing like the best team in the NFC right now. So give me the Lions at 2, and then coming in at number 1, I'm going to keep the Buffalo Bills. Despite losing to the Patriots, I'm going to keep the Bills at 1. I think that they're going to be just fine. Right now, they need to make a move at the trade deadline on defense. Despite the lack of weapons on offense, I think Josh Allen is capable of carrying that offense by himself. And with James Cook, I think the offense is perfectly fine. They had an uncharacteristic game with 3 turnovers. I don't think that's going to happen again. It was a division rival at home. Those games are always kind of tricky to win. And I'm not panicking on the Bills just because they lost to a division rival. And I'm very high on the Patriots this year. So I think that was a statement win for New England, but that doesn't mean that I think any less of Buffalo. I think that was an uncharacteristic loss. They turned the ball over a lot. And then Drake May played the best game of his career. So credit to the Patriots. I'm not panicking on the Bills. I still think they're the best team in the AFC by far, and they have a clear path to the number 1 seed, especially because the Chiefs just lost. So everyone is like, oh, the Bills, they might be, getting worse. They're still 4-1. They're still far and away the best team in the AFC, in my opinion. They're going to be just fine. The rest of their schedule is very, very easy, and I think the Bills are going to be just fine. So I'm going to keep the Bills at 1 despite losing, and also the Eagles lost. So had the Eagles won and the Bills lost, I would have risen the Eagles, but since the Eagles lost and the Bills lost, I'm going to keep the Bills at 1, and I'm going to drop the Eagles a spot to number 3. And that is going to be it for my power rankings. I will see you guys tomorrow when I release my Week 6 picks.